So this is what it sounded like before mixing. And this is what it sounded like after we're done mixing. Time after time, yeah, we roll. Let's get the love that we own. United States, young that know. And this got me up in the zone. Alright guys, so in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the process of how we went from the raw files into the final polished mix. And you can get the stem files in the description below. So if you want to follow along, you can go ahead and get those files. Let's jump right in. This is what we have right here. And if you get the stem files, I've already gone ahead to load them into the mixer right here. And as you can see, I've colored them based on the categories. All right, so first things first, when we have a project like this, we're going to work on the volume, the levels. So we're going to start with this first one that we have right here. I'm going to bring this down a bit. This is very loud, so I'm going to take this down. Very loud also. I'm gonna take this down also. And the goal here is just to listen to the tracks in relation to one another. We will still go back and keep adjusting them till we get the final mix. So let's just keep going and then let's see how it turns out. I'm gonna take the drums a bit down. Okay, these are very loud. Let me just bring this down more. Okay. These are the open hi-hats, so take this down a bit. Okay. This is a chant right here. And then we have the hi-hat loop coming in. I'm gonna also take this down a bit. I'm gonna bring this hi-hat up. It's kind of sounding lost. So you can see the progress we've made just by turning down the volumes of some tracks and then balancing everything out. Okay? This is the 808. All right, so next up we have, okay, we have that sound right there. And this is very, very loud. So I'm going to go ahead and take this down a bunch to where we can barely hear it. We're kind of working on these two sounds right here. And as you can see, they only show up in the second half. So I'm going to go ahead and loop this second half right here so that we can just have those sounds and then work on them. Okay, this two we have right there. Very loud also. Next two are the vocals, and we're going to go ahead and work on those two right now. Go, sing it, go round, yeah, side to side we roll, go round, yeah, down we go, swing it, go round, side to side we roll. While we start adding effects and building on this, we'll find out that, okay, some sounds might be too quiet, some sounds might also be too loud, and we're still going to go ahead and be adjusting them as we progress. For now, let's go back to the beginning and then let's start building on this one after the other. So first things first, let's start with the EQing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and solo this. I'm going to load up a parametric EQ right here. And when working on mixes like this, anything that is not a kick, that is not a bass, 808s, or any of those kind, just go ahead and take out a whole lot of the low ends because they are quite not necessary. If we have to go ahead and listen to what we are taking out here, this sound right here are just going to be clashing and fighting with the 808 and the kick. Okay, so you do not want that. You want the low end to be as clean as possible.
So just go ahead and remove them because it might sound very low now, but once we have this kind of low end across multiple tracks, it starts to build up and it starts to affect the whole low end, and you do not want that. Okay. I'm also going to boost the highs right here. Load up a sound godizer on this. I'm also going to create a reverb aux track. So I'm just going to click here, hold down shift and control and click here to select two at once. And I'm going to dock this to the right. Okay, so we have it to the right here. And I'm going to load up a reverb on this. So the Valhalla Vintage Verb. All right, so that's what we have. You know what? I'm going to add one more because there's an effect that I'm kind of looking for. And then I'm going to go ahead and load up a fruity delay. Valhalla delay, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and load up a Valhalla delay. There is a preset that I kind of like. Yes, lo-fi beats. And if you don't have the Valhalla delay, you can just go with any delay plugin. You mustn't have exactly what we are using right here. And lastly, we're going to load up another Valhalla delay again. So I'm going to connect this to the reverb. As you can see, just click on the effect and then click on this arrow right here to connect it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this down a bit. Then these other three, these are the pads. So let's do the same thing and take out most of the low end. So just load up an EQ. Now this is very dicey because, like I said, you can see we have three pads, okay, and we don't want most of their frequencies to be clashing. So if we look at the other two, you can see this has a whole lot of frequencies in this low mid range. So what we can do is, since we have these ones right here also occupying that low mids, we can actually just take that up. So just leave these portions right here to pass through. So next thing, again, we're going to add a sound godizer on this. On both of them actually. Instead of adding the reverbs one by one, I'm going to create a bus track for this. So let's move this to right here. Okay. So I'm going to route all these three to this new track that we have right here. Route to this track only. So we have these three routed here. And then from here, I can now route this over to the reverb. And then we can now adjust that. And then for this last track that we have not yet EQ'd, you can see it has a whole lot of low end sounds. I'm gonna go ahead and take a bunch out of all this. And I like these sounds I'm hearing. So I'm gonna go ahead and emphasize on this. And then let's hear it out with the rest. All right, so one thing I noticed is that this one has a whole lot of high end too. So I'm going to take that down so that the other part right here can actually pass through. Let's go and add our famous sound godizer on this. So one thing I'm noticing from this first track is that it is kind of, this is it right here. Okay, as you can see, the volume is all over the place. Some are low, some are medium, some are a bit high, some are high. And I don't like that inconsistency. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up a fruity limiter on this. And I'm going to compress the sound. So I'm going to set my threshold around this beginning portion. And then let's take this down a bit. Then let's boost the post gain. And while we're on this, I'm still going to add some effects on the bus track just to glue all of them together. So first things first, I'm going to load up a sound godizer and hear how it sounds. And I'm going to load up an EQ and take down some frequencies. What I do here is I just use this notch right here, take it down a bit, and then sweep through, and then hear if it sounds better at any low frequency. So let's just go ahead and take it down a bit, sweep through, and then we'll listen and then know if it sounds better at some point. Then we can now adjust it to, fine tune it. See, I think there's quite a bit of more low end here. So I think I prefer it this way. And because we have vocals here in this track also, I'm going to go ahead and turn down a notch from this area where the vocal presence usually sound most. So I'm just going to reduce this a bit. Let's go over to the drums. So first things first, I'm actually going to load up a Soundgoodizer on the kick. Yes, I want more of that oomph sound. This is with the Soundgoodizer off. There's it turned on. So it has more punch to it. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a saturation knob right here to saturate the kick. Yes, this is how it sounds, very, very saturated, but we don't want it to be too much. So I'm going to turn it down a bit. So let's go over to the claps. Clap and snare. The claps sometimes also have a bit of low end to them. You can see this is way too much low end. So let's just do the same thing we did for the rest and then take this up. Same thing we do for this. And also I'm going to load a Soundgoodizer on this as well as on this. For the remaining processing, I'm going to actually create another bus track for just the clap and snare so that I can process them together. Like I said, to actually glue them together. So I'm going to go to route track only. Okay. So I added a Soundgoodizer on that also. And then I'm also going to add another saturation knob. Just a little bit actually. All right, let's move ahead to the hi-hat. And then the same thing too, let's go ahead and look at the EQ. And let's see, you can see a whole lot of unwanted frequencies right here. So let's just go ahead and do the same thing. Take this out. And also I'm going to reduce this hash portion. It's a bit too hash. Yes, better. And then another Soundgoodizer on this. Yes. So the same thing for the second hi-hat. I'm going to load up a parametric EQ, as you can see, unwanted frequencies. So let's just go ahead and take all those out. And then the same thing, reduce this high portion a bit. And then add a Soundgoodizer on this. And as you can see, this hi-hat is panned a bit to the right. This one right here. So I'm going to pan this a bit to the left. Yes. So next up we have this. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing. Take out a whole bunch of the low end. And then load up a Soundgoodizer on this. There we have the hi-hat loop coming in. And then the same ones, take out some of these frequencies right here. And then the same thing we did for those previous hi-hats, take down this peaking portion. And then a Soundgoodizer on the hi-hat, let's not forget that, very important. And then lastly, we have this percussion loop. And as you can see, it also has quite a bit of low-end frequencies that are unwanted. So we're just going to take that out again. And then another Soundgoodizer on this. So you can see on the clap, we still have a whole lot of low ends that came in because of the effect we've added. So we're going to take that out. And take some of these frequencies down. And lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to create a boss track, very, very important, for all the drums. So I'm gonna click on all this apart from the claps. Remember, because we created a boss track for the claps, so we're gonna actually avoid the individual and just click on the boss. Then we route all this to the boss track we want, and then route to track only. For the boss track, we're going to glue them together with a compressor. Just a little bit actually, not that much. So just take this down a little bit. And then we're going to increase the attack time so that those transients can come through. We add a post gain, a little bit of it. Then I'm also going to add a very, very little bit of sound glider. Sometimes it sounds better, sometimes sound glider just makes it sound worse on the drum bus. But I'm just going to add a little bit and hear how it sounds. It just makes it sound clearer. Okay, so I'm gonna still go ahead and see what I can fine tune to this to make it sound better. Let's see if we can saturate this a little bit also. That is on the drum bus. So there is it without the effect on the drum bus. And this is it with the effect on the drum bus. Nice. You can see how that kick comes through more. Okay. I think I'm actually turn down the kick a bit. And then next up we have the 808. We are going to actually sidechain the kick to the 808 without even wasting much time about that. So we click on the kick, go over to the 808, right click here, sidechain to this track. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead to the last knob and then add in my fruity limiter over there. So let's go ahead and add the sidechain right here, the kick, and then reduce the threshold, compress it. So when the kick hits, the 808 goes down. And sometimes I do this at the beginnings just to clear out my head and then just process the 808 to the extent that I want to. So first things first, I'm going to add a parametric EQ. And without even touching that, I'm going to go ahead and add a sound glider right here. And then a saturation knob. Yes, but before I go on, let me just hear how it sounds all together. I'm going to add a little bit of distortion on this, on the 808 that is, a fruity blood overdrive. When I'm adding distortions on 808s, I'm actually very, very careful with them, okay? Because it can really sound very, very boomy when you add too much of it. So just without even moving this knob, it already makes a difference. Before, after, okay? So sometimes I don't even touch this big knob and I just go ahead and reduce this right here if I see that it is too much. For some reasons whatsoever, I think I prefer it with this frequency turned down a bit. Alright, so that is that for now. Okay. Then we have this sound coming in. And gonna go ahead and do the same thing. Take out the low end frequencies, a bunch of them. And I'm going to add a reverb on this. And then a sound glider as usual. Let's see how that sounds all together. Yes, I just want it in that background, adding that atmosphere effect to it. Okay, I'm gonna loop that last portion again. Okay, because that is where the next sound's coming. So as usual, take down a bunch of those low end frequencies. And then a sound glider on this. And then I'm also going to add a saturation knob on this. Let's hear the rest. And then I'm going to route this to the reverb. Definitely, it needs that. Okay, so another thing, I'm going to add this to the delay that I talked about earlier. Yes, it gives it that effect, and that is what I was going for. But it's a bit too much, so I'm going to turn this down a bit. And on that effect delay, I'm also going to load up an EQ and take down some of these little frequencies that we have right here. And aside that, I'm also going to load up another fruity delay right here. Okay, and I'm going to set it to this bbDoc quarter note mod delay. Okay, gonna add this here. All right, so with everything turned back on, now I'm noticing that my first track is not really cutting through the mix as much as I want it to. So let's see how we can fix that. Okay. So one thing I notice I'm gonna do is, first of all, this is like the dominant frequency. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually add up a dynamic EQ, okay, on the pads on these three right here. So I'm gonna add it on the boss track. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add up a peak controller right here and set this to 50. And then I'm gonna load up another parametric EQ here. Let's just go ahead and set this, detach this. Okay. Then let's go to our new and detach this also so that we can have them in the foreground even when we press other things. Okay. So yes. So I want to take down this portion from the pads right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, right click right here, link to controller. And remember, so we're going to set this. Remember our effect is on insert 1. So we're going to click on the peak right here and then go over here and set this to invert and then accept. So you notice that anytime the first, the pluck sound hits, it takes down that particular frequency from the EQ right here. So now what we can do is we can still go ahead and move this, fine tune it. Okay. Now, in case you want to affect how, like, the amount of EQ that is being done, you can do that by reducing the volume over here at the peak controller. So if we reduce that, you can see it's done very minimal damage. I'm still going to do this dynamic EQ on that our lead that we have. Yes, I'm still going to add this here. So I'm going to add that again, but to do that, I have to add another peak controller. Okay, and I do the same thing, set this to 50. And then let's just reduce the volume a bit from here because we know we're going to do that anyways. Then we go over here. Okay, any of them, you can just right click, link to controller. And now we select the second one because the first one we used for the pads and everything. So we're going to select the second one and then select the peak also. Okay, it's going up because I didn't invert it. So I'm going to go back to the okay. So remember inverted. Okay, I didn't set that to invert. That's why it was going up. And now as I'm hearing it, I'm also noticing that it is also kind of inconsistent also. Okay, as you can see, some of the peaks are loud, some of the peaks are very quiet, and I do not like that at all. So I'm going to compress it. I should have done that earlier. And then add a post gain to it. Also, I'm hearing that the reverb kind of sounds a bit much, so I'm not going to reduce the reverb. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sidechain the reverb. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and load the fruity limiter on our reverb aux right here. Okay, I'm going to go to the compressor and first of all select the pluck right here. So this is the pluck we have. And I'm going to reduce it. So anytime the pluck hits, the reverb goes down a bit so that that pluck sound can come in way cleaner and not sound washed out. Very little improvement, but when you combine all these little improvements to the whole track, okay, it starts to make a significant difference. So let's hear all these three together with the lead. Way cleaner, way cleaner. So now let's hear everything again together. I'm going to actually do the same thing on the reverb to this. So I'm going to sidechain the reverb on the lead. So go to the compression and select lead 1 right here. I'm just going to reduce it a little bit actually. And that is that. That is enough. On our pluck sound here, I want the high end to come in more. So I'm gonna load up another EQ. Let's see how that sounds when everything is played. Here's this without this. See, it's kind of muffled and lost. Then next up, we have this lead 2. First of all, we're going to take out low end frequencies as usual. Then as usual again, we're going to add a sound godizer on this. And then a saturation knob definitely to saturate the sound. Now, these two are technically fighting for the same space, okay? And it's a good thing that this first lead sound actually has a whole lot of space in it. Okay, so what I can do is I can actually sidechain them together. So I think I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to sidechain the first lead to the second one so that it gives room for the first one to shine. So this is how we just use these basic mixing techniques to, create space in our mix. So and I'm also going to add a reverb on this. So let me hear everything together before I make my final decision on how to move with this. One thing I'm going to add right here is I'm actually going to create an automation for this, okay? I want it to sweep from right to left, from left to right while it's being played. So yes, this is an opportunity for you to learn how to use automations and mixing. So how do we go about this? So we have this section highlighted, which is a good thing because that is just the section that we want to affect with the automation. So we highlight the portion that we want the automation to be on, which is just this portion right here, as we can see. So we go ahead and right click on the fader right here, and I'm going to go to create automation clip. Okay, and we have that right here. I want this portion to go to the right. Okay, so we just right click, move this up a bit. And that is bending because I've set this down. Okay, you can do that. You can affect that movement by doing that. And I'm also going to go over to the other side. This long sound again. Okay, and then I'm going to also go ahead and add this right here like that. And also, just so you know, you can also move this like this. But aside that, I'm going to go ahead and add this here and then set this to 0 because I want that to be in the middle, and then just do this right here. All right, so we have this going on. So it goes like this, goes to the right, goes back down to the middle, and then gradually goes over to the left. All right, so let's hear how this sounds. You know what's gonna happen? I'm actually gonna set this here and then drastically make this a bit more steep. I'm gonna go ahead and make this 0 also. Add this right here, make this straight up, and make sure that this is also 0. Okay, it is centered. That is centered. And then lastly, I'm gonna go ahead and type in a value and make this 80% left, okay, which it is. Okay, and I'm going to make this 80% right, which it also is. Wonderful. If it isn't 80%, you can go ahead and just affect the number and then type in your 80% right there. All right, so let's see how everything sounds all together. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take a bit of the low end frequencies from this one, which is the lead 2. Okay, just a little bit actually. Okay, I think that's enough. All right, so what I'm going to do at this point right now is I am going to actually focus more. I'm going to go back and listen to everything and then make minor adjustments as we progress. So first of all, for this unplugged lead, so this sound is not really coming out as clear as I want it to. I think some of those low end frequencies are kind of clouding out that portion. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to, yes. First of all, I'm going to take out a bunch of those low end frequencies. And I'm actually going to reduce part of this portion right here. So that it is more clearer. This is it without the EQ that we just did. And this is with the EQ that I just did. Little bit of difference, but like I always say, those little differences, when you combine them together with other little differences, when the mix come together, it makes a huge difference. I think I'm going to bring this up a bit. Okay, so aside that, let's move over to the next ones. And what I'm going to do for this right now is I'm going to actually add a bit of stereo separation on these 3 right here. Okay, but before that, I'm going to actually pan. I'm going to pan this a bit to the left. Okay. I'm going to pan this a bit to the right because like we noticed earlier, they occupy the same frequency spectrum, those high-end frequencies. Okay, so let's just spread them out a bit. I'm also going to add a little bit of stereo separation on this and a little bit on this also. So now let's move over to the drums. Let me just slow this out. So I think I want to add a little bit of reverb on this sound. Okay, but before that, I'm going to actually bring this up a bit. And I'm going to take up the sound organizer a bit so that it cuts through the drums a bit more. Okay, we have that. I'm going to add a little bit of EQ, a little bit of reverb. And I'm going to turn it down a bit so that it doesn't sound too in your face. I'm also going to turn down these hi-hats a bit. And this one a bit also. All right, let's hear it together with the rest of what we have. So this EQ I added earlier, I think I'm going to just remove it because now that I have everything all together and I'm hearing it more clearly, I think I prefer it without that EQ that we took away. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that out entirely. So you can see I'm just adjusting the volume of this so that it's balanced and not too low or too high. All right, so let's go over to the vocals.
Time, yeah, we roll. That's gonna love that we own.
So without wasting much time, first things first, we're gonna take out the low end frequencies as usual.
Time, yeah, we roll. That's gonna love that we own. The night is too young, I know. And this got me up in the zone. Friends and family, let's go. Let's marry, let's play out the goal.
They were good to go ahead and add a compression, Fruity Limiter.
Up and down we go.
Take this down.
Go. Time, yeah, we roll. That's gonna love that we own. The night is too young, I know. Friends and family,
then let's turn up the gain.
Let's marry, let's play out the goal. We celebrate all that we don't, cause we know that we're winning it all. So drumming the merry go round.
Then we add a sound godizer.
Time, yeah, we roll. That's gonna love that we own.
Let's hear the vocal with everything else.
Time, yeah, we roll. That's gonna love that we own.
Now I can see that it has a whole lot of low end that we need to take off. But before that, I'm gonna add a FabFilter Pro DS right here for de-essing.
Yeah, we roll. That's gonna love that we own. The night is too young,
and the reason I added it at the end is because after we add some other processings, we might still want to de-ess the vocal. So it might still include other hash frequencies after we're done processing. So I usually have my de-esser very close to the end, sometimes at the last, okay, sometimes at the end, but sometimes I still have another maybe EQ or something after the de-essing. But I'm just gonna go ahead and leave this here while I still continue with the processing. So next up, I'm gonna add an EQ. All right.
Time, yeah, we roll. That's gonna love that we own.
And I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing.
Got me up in the zone. Friends and family, let's go.
Right here.
Let's marry, let's play out the goal. We celebrate all that we don't, cause we know that we're
and then I'm gonna go ahead and take down some of these low end frequencies.
Up and down we go. And we go round. Side to side we roll. And we go round. Down we go. And we go round. Side to side we roll.
And I'm going to increase this a bit at the high end. All right, so next up, I'm going to add another EQ, but this time I'm going to be adding the Pro Q4. Okay, and the reason I'm just using this is because we have unlimited bands. Okay, so I can add as many as possible, even though sometimes I might not necessarily need them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to listen for hash frequencies. So I'm going to just pull them up, reduce the notch, and just find hash frequencies that peak out. Now, so many producers don't actually do this anymore, okay? But I still do it because I see it helps and I see it improves my mixes. So I just go ahead and do it. So I'm just going to play the track. I'm actually going to go ahead and solo it so that I can actually focus and hear just the vocal. And I'm going to listen for very harsh frequencies that actually stand out.
Time, yeah, we roll. That's gonna love that we own. The night is too young, I know. And this got me up in the zone.
Something like this is a bit very, very harsh. So I'm going to go ahead and take this down and just do that all through.
Time, yeah, we roll. That's gonna love that we own. The night is too young, I know. And this got me up in the zone. Go. Let's marry, let's play out the goal.
So you can see this low end here is actually sounding very, 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 very boomy. Okay, so I'm gonna take that down.
Time, yeah, we roll. That's gonna love that we own. The night is too young, I know. And this got me up in the zone. Friends and family, let's go. Let's marry, let's play out the goal.
Yes, this portion also is sounding very, very boxy. So I'm gonna take that down also.
Side to side we roll. Merry go round. Up and down we go.
So I'm gonna take this down just a little bit. Okay, because that is not really that harsh. I'm gonna turn this down a bit. Not too much, okay?
Down we go.
So I'm gonna go ahead and take down this right here and just bring it down a little, not also too much. All right, and then that is just that for that. So before we unlock, hear how it sounds with other instruments, I'm gonna add an EQ on this, and I'm just adding these three actually. So just reduce them. Okay, and I'm going to reduce this third fruity delay. So these are delay, these are delay, and these are reverb right here.
Time after time, yeah, we roll.
And I'm going to also sidechain the reverb without even wasting much time. Very, very important on vocals that you sidechain your reverb.
Time after time, yeah, we roll. Basking in love that we own. The night is still young, I know. And this got me up in the zone. Friends and family, let's go. Let's marry, let's play out the goal.
I'm going to turn this docking up a bit to around 90. Okay. That docking is like a sidechain also. So I don't need to sidechain that. Okay. The docking does it for me. Turn this down a bit.
All that we don't, cause we know that we're winning it all. Strumming the merry go round.
All right, so while we are still working on this, I'm going to add a saturation knob. For saturation, very, very important on vocals. Very, very crucial.
Time after time, yeah, we roll. Basking in love that we own. The night is still young, I know.
Let's go and play to the rest of the track.
Time after time, yeah, we roll. Basking in love that we own.
All right, so I'm going to add another EQ to this because I'm still hearing some boxy sounds.
Time after time, yeah, we roll. Basking in love that we own.
So I'm just going to go ahead and take out a bit of this low end again.
Time after time, yeah, we roll. Basking in love that we own.
I'm going to boost the high end frequencies.
Time after time, yeah, we roll. Basking in love that we own. The night is still young, I know. And this got me up in the zone.
So let's work on the ad-libs a little bit. We're still going to go ahead and touch everything a little bit. So the ad-libs are right here. Let's just highlight that so we can loop around this portion. So for the ad-libs, I want it to kind of have like a radio kind of effect. So I'm just straight up going to select the telephone. Where is it? Old telephone. Right here. I'm just going to go ahead and turn this down a bit. Add a sound glider on this. And a saturation knob. And I'm going to go ahead and add a reverb on this.
How do we roll? Merry go round. Up and down we go. Merry go round. Side to side we roll. Merry.
And I just added a little bit of stereo separation to widen it more.
Merry go round. Up and down we go. Merry.
So let's hear everything all together.
Time after time, yeah, we roll. Basking in love that we own. The night is still young, I know. And this got me up in the zone. Friends and family, let's go. Let's marry, let's play out the goal. Celebrate all that we don't, cause we know that we're winning it all. Strumming the merry go round. Up and down we go. Merry go round. Side to side we roll. Merry go round. Up and down we go. Merry go round. Side to side we roll.
So right here, I just took out a little bit of low end from the vocals. Okay, just that. And then I took down this portion right here. Okay, just took that down a bit. We've come a whole long way from where we started. Right now, at this point, we are like 80 to 90% done. So what I would do at this point is I would rest my ears for quite a bit. Okay, and then come back with fresh ears. Another thing you can do at this point is get a reference track, and also for you to try your sound on different systems. Okay, don't just focus on your headphones or your studio monitors. Check out other kind of consumer type headphones. Check out your car, check out your AirPods. Your audience will listen to your music on studio quality headphones or monitors. Okay, so you have to actually put yourself in their shoes and hear it like how they are going to hear it, and then fine tune it as you go. So that's what I'll do at this point. But for now, I'm going to just leave this at this. We've come a long way from where we started. And we are at this point.
Time after time, yeah, we roll. Basking in love that we own. The night is still young, I know. And this got me up in the zone. Friends and family, let's go. Let's marry, let's play out the goal. Celebrate all that we don't, cause we know that we're winning it all. Strumming the merry go